Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We are live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff and Tam Cowan are with me on this Thursday. Not quite the best of weather, so hopefully we will keep you entertained over the next 60 minutes talking about football, talking about the semi-finals of the Premier Sports Cup coming up this weekend. But I think at the forefront of everybody's mind at the moment is the imminent arrival of a Rangers manager. Giovanni van Bronckhorst is the red-hot favourite. It's a case of, when is he going to turn up, Ruffy?
Yeah, and I'm sure the Rangers supporters would hope it's very soon. It's a big semi-final at the weekend. I'm sure the board would rather have him in place than hanging about. So it'd be interesting to see what a boost it would be if he sort of come in, before the game. But there seems to be a lot of things going on behind the scenes. As we saw with Steven Gerrard, he wants his own team there. Seems to be the same with him. But I think it'd be a massive boost for Rangers Football Club if they got him in before the semi-final.
The general feeling is, Tam, that the delay is the backroom team and just getting them in. Some bookies are still taking odds on whether he's going to,
absolutely,
as you would.
The way everybody's chatting, if anybody out there thought they had a wee inkling it was going to be somebody else, now's the time to have the bet with the bookies, because I don't even know if they're still taking money on Van Bronckhorst. But yeah, absolutely, I think Hibs and everybody involved with Hibs, the supporters, would be delighted if they never brought the manager in time, because right away the bounce that they always talk about, the new manager coming in, Van Bronckhorst obviously is a bit of a Rangers legend. The fans loved him as a player, so you can only imagine that would give Rangers a boost going into this game.
Yeah.
Hibs they'll be keeping everything crossed that they don't get him in time.
Yeah. Hi to Jockey, hi to Andrew Davison, who says good morning lads from Toronto, no less. Say, hope the weather's okay there. Thanks to Stuart Ramsey, who always regularly actually follows the programme, and good to hear his comments as well. Kenny Whitson also falls into that category. Darren Fields from New York City. Hugh as well, who says, good to see Tam on today. Time for some Davy Moyes chats.
I'm delighted you weren't here last week after they'd beaten Liverpool. What's he done this week?
Nothing. That's the thing about it. Hugh, I'm not going to mention.
But he must have done. Has he not maybe put the bins out properly that and you want to glorify him for that?
Lorfy and I will look over the strategy of where he positioned the bins. I think Marlon says Tam's morphing into his pal Stuart. What a slight on you. I think you're looking great after your Turkish shave.
I had my wee Turkish shave, and because I had the Turkish haircut last week, I'll not need one of them again to Christmas or something, but that's it.
I've never tried it. Is it any good?
It's great. What, the shave or the haircut?
No, I wouldn't get that haircut.
You wouldn't get the haircut? No, you wouldn't. No. But the shave's magnificent, as long as you don't mind a young man just kind of like touching your face. Quite a lot of folk feel uncomfortable at that.
Yeah. Ruffy, from your own...
I'd be uncomfortable.
But have you had a Turkish?
No, I've never.
Never?
And where I live, there are actually 7 Turkish barbers in the
but you live in Istanbul. What are you expecting?
But no, I'm surprised you said you've never had one, but nevertheless.
They're great, I'll tell you, they know what they're doing. The training, it's almost as if they're born to do it. The training must be magnificent. You never get a wee nick or anything like that. And I'm chuffed to bits. I know you're the complete opposite. A shave once a week does me, you know. So if I get it on a Thursday, that caters for your weekend, any gigs you've got, any shows you're doing, and then a wee bit of first coming in, start of the week, and then we'll let the boys take care of it again the Thursday. It's brilliant.
Should
get one of them as a guest.
I'm every morning.
Same as me,
it's
Ruffy.
the first thing I do every morning. Is have a shave.
Got a shave, absolutely. And of course, good to know that there's not the odd wee nick here and there, which reminds me of a big hi to Gordon Herriot, who's watching from Thailand, because just the slightest wrong move, you never know what can happen.
Anyways, you make sure the doors are shut right in these places. You don't want the boy with the open blade razor to sneeze or anything like that. You know what I mean?
So you just do the facial. You don't do the whole sort of.
No, it's the whole. It's just the face. Anyway, apart from anything else, I don't know where he's going with it. Just don't.
A late life crisis.
A late life crisis. He's heading to 70. It's his birthday soon. Anyway, apart from anything else, it looks as if he doesn't make it. Jermaine Defoe will be in the dugout alongside David McCallum, Brian Gilmer and Colin Stewart. Not exactly household names for the Rangers fans, but I think the majority of Rangers fans think they should be good enough just to take on Hibs and get their place in the final and let the manager worry about the final.
Yeah, the team play a set formation. The players, the experienced players, will know exactly what they've been doing. For the last wee while, I don't think there'll be many changes at all. It's just about getting the players motivated enough to go out there and win the game. So, no, I think the backroom staff will be there, just to make sure everything runs smoothly.
And if you're of a certain vintage, you'll know all about Giovanni van Bronckhorst when he was in the blue of Rangers first time around.
Some fans may remember Giovanni van Bronckhorst from 20 years ago, but let's find out more about the 46-year-old. Born in Rotterdam, Van Bronckhorst came through the Feyenoord Academy and broke into the first team at 19, playing alongside players such as Henrik Larsson, before being signed by Dick Advocaat at Rangers in 1998 for £5 million. Starring in midfield, he was a fan favourite at Ibrox, scoring 22 goals and lifting 5 trophies in 3 seasons, including 2 domestic doubles. He moved down south to Arsenal but suffered an injury-blighted spell and transferred to Barcelona in 2003. He played at left-back and went on to win the Champions League in 2006, before ending his career at his boyhood club Feyenoord. He made over 100 appearances for the Netherlands and played in 4 major tournaments, captaining them in the 2010 World Cup final, and who could forget his wonder goal in the semi over Uruguay. He quickly moved into coaching though, becoming Ronald Koeman's assistant at the Rotterdam club in 2011. He took over in 2015 and won the Dutch Cup in his first full season. In 2017, Feyenoord won the Eredivisie title for the first time in 18 years, and he lifted another Dutch Cup a year later before leaving in 2019. A spell in China at Guangzhou City was short-lived as he returned home for family reasons, with the team finishing 11th during the pandemic season. Young, successful and forward-thinking, Van Bronckhorst may just be the perfect fit for Rangers.
Well, if you're looking for a manager who has got the credentials, Tam, who can move from the style of football that Rangers are playing under Steven Gerrard, which, when you look at the pedigree of the results that they got in Europe as well as winning the title, then, he's ideal.
Aye, because it's not as if some folk who maybe don't remember him as a player, maybe younger fans, might think this is the old kind of heart rule in the head appointment, as if I'll bring in one of the former players. But he's clearly got a bit of pedigree and management. But again, I don't think if they've got that behind them, I don't think there's anything wrong with bringing in somebody that's already a popular figure at the club. Sometimes clubs can get it wrong. Stuart Cosgrove, my buddy, would never say anything against the man, but he knew that when St Johnston, for example, appointed John Connolly, one of the St Johnston greats, one of their best players ever, but when he came in as manager, it just did not work out, and that's what you've got to be careful of. But that's clearly a different boat here.
Yeah, there are a number of ex-players who've gone on to manage the club. As you can see here, we've put together the collection of the 6 previous ones, because he will become the 7th manager of the club, who's also played for the club. Scott Simon, Willie Waddle, John Gregg, Graham Souness, Ali McCoist and Stuart McCall. Quite a few of them had successes. Maybe I think John Gregg will look back and think about what might have been Ali McCoist for me.
I'm going to be picky with that. Graham Souness.
Well, Souness did win the title. He won the title at the start of the 9.
Aye, but what was can we put the caption up again, please?
Yeah, but
let's get the caption. How was it headed?
It was
Rangers players who have become manager.
Yeah, well,
surely he became manager and player at the same time.
Yeah, I'll take that on the chin. I'm going to.
That's fine.
I'm going to batter.
See, I like watching Only Connect on a Monday night with Victoria Corin Smith.
Do you?
Aye, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
you've never seen it?
I've watched it. Aye.
You're not into it, Ruffy. If you watch
fishy symbols and all that.
Fishy.
if you
watch 4's hard enough for you.
If you watch it a bit more, Ruffy, you might have been able to pick that up in the graphic before we put it up. But nevertheless, Souness is in there anyway. We're letting him in.
And
a wonderful man, Scott Simon. He signed me at Thistle.
Oh, did he?
Is that right? Aye.
Beautiful guy.
Is that right?
There we go.
Scott Simon, yep. He
Well,
signed me as a young lad
quiet.
at 17.
Yeah. Okay. So there's 6 players, albeit Graham Souness is player manager.
Stuart McCall, Motherwell legend.
Yeah,
He was in the dugout for Rangers when we pumped them 6-1 in the playoff.
Yeah, I think it kind of.
I think that put the nail in the coffin
I was
for
just
him.
about to say, I don't think it actually.
No, he was brilliant at Motherwell. He's welcome back anytime.
Right, okay. The opposition, and no disrespect, I think a lot of people are suggesting, that Hibs will be cannon fodder for Rangers, but that's far from the case. Hibs haven't been playing great, it has to be said, Ruffy. I've been there and watched them. Now, there's a man today who signed an extension, and that's Christian Deutsch. He'll be at the club till 2024. They're doing a fair few deals. I mean, Lewis Stevenson was a surprise. I thought Lewis was about 68, but he's got an extension as well. Paul Hanlon's got an extension, albeit Paul's 31. So Christian Deutsch, we haven't seen that much of him, and I think that's been to Hibs' detriment.
Yeah, and Nisbet as well. I think Nisbet misses him. I always like to see a team affording to play two up front because they can bounce off each other, and certainly when he was playing, the both of them were scoring goals. You know, that's dried up a wee bit now. I don't think he's fit enough for the weekend, but Doig, is he? No, he's not. So they'll have to come up with some kind of solution. But I think behind the scenes they're just trying to get a bit of stability at the club, signing up all the players and keeping them there for maybe 2 or 3 years. You know, and it's always good for the club if the players are prepared to stay for that length of time.
Are they good enough to knock Rangers out?
Not in the form they're on now. You know, that I know you've touched on, and I know you go into semi-finals and we've seen strange things happen, but I can't see it at all. It would have to be a really Rangers team not playing to the levels, and the Hibs really playing what they can play, but we haven't seen it for the last 2 months.
Yeah. Tam, are you going for a shock, or are you going for...
Well, I think the biggest mistake Rangers could make is getting into this game thinking all Hibs have been rubbish recently, you know, because if it clicks into place for Hibs, they could obviously surprise them, but I'm kind of disappointed in them right at the start of the season. You know what it's like, you're a Motherwell fan, we're not going to win the league, but you're always looking for somebody to rumble it up a wee bit, and I was looking at Hearts, looking at Hibs. Hearts are still very much in there. They play us on Saturday, of course, but Hibs been disappointing for a few weeks now. But no, you could never rule out Hibs pulling a surprise. But if I'm a Hibs fan going into that game, I'd always say that, particularly a scenario like semi-final and you're playing one of the Old Firm, I think Hibs have got to score first.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Tam. And then maybe if the manager of Rangers is not in, it's a real test for Jermaine Defoe and their backroom side to make a decision which could get them back into. I think that's his best opportunity. As far as the other semi-final is concerned, it's Celtic against the actual holders of the trophy, which is St Johnston, and that's the first one, a 5:15 kick-off for this one at Hampden. And St Johnston, I think this is the tougher of the two matches, because St Johnston will not want to give that trophy up without an absolute fight.
No, and the players have been there for 2 finals. They've won 2 finals. They're going to Hampden with a lot of confidence. They know what the day involves, and that'll be a head start for them. Again, it depends on what kind of form the Celtic defence are in, because they'll be saying, St Johnstone will be saying, look, if we get chances, we can score goals. We just have to stop them scoring at the other end. But you're right, St Johnstone are one of the teams that can make it very, very stuffy for you. But you've got to get a goal early, to put that to bed and make them do something. So we'll just have to wait and see what Celtic team turns up.
Yeah, Celtic manager Ange Postecoglou reckons with the fan advantage as well, this will feel like a home game.
There's, I guess, that added incentive to create something special with this group of players. So yeah, looking forward to it immensely. My understanding is it'll be like a home game. We'll pack it out as usual with our support. So it'll be a real special atmosphere, and I'm sure everyone within the club's looking forward to it.
Yeah, this one should be a good one, and the sentimentality attached to this one as well, Tam, because all the Celtic players will wear a number 10 on their shorts as a tribute to Bertie Auld.
Yeah, and there's going to be I think a minute's applause in the 67th minute.
Yeah,
with a wee nod to Lisbon. I mean, I saw the stuff that you had done with Bertie. It was absolutely magnificent, and the tributes were great. I'd even pass on my condolences to Alan. I've never been in Ruffy's company for more than 5 minutes without mentioning wee Bertie. I was wondering, I mean, what would have been your absolutely ultimate story about wee Bertie? What would that have been?
Look, I've cracked a few.
What about some?
Because I've heard the ones that you did like your after dinner. They're obviously clearly not that great. But I'm only going by the audience. But there must be one that you'd saved up.
Oh, there's one up in the Highlands, but he'll fall off the seat if I start to tell it.
No, that's fine.
Not got any others.
No, there is another Highland one, and unfortunately, it involves drink again. You've heard of the Bewley Highland show?
Oh yeah.
The Black Isle show.
Right, aye.
There was a big boy up there for the SFA called Maurice Newton, who was part of the SFA, and he was pals of Bertie, and he said, "Is there any chance of Ruffy coming along to my stall? I've got a stall at the Black Isle show."
Right.
And I said, "Fine." And Bertie said, "Just go away and as usual, enjoy yourself. You know, we're training later on, but you just go get full of it." So I went away and got full of it. And as usual, Bertie, his wind-up, phoned and said, "Right, training starts in half an hour, get your backside back here." And I come back and he just absolutely roasted me, you know. And
That's very similar to the story you told
I know,
the other
it
day
must have
there.
been a standard of him, you know. That's what he used to do when I won the McKinley Award. It was, I think he just used to like to see me, you know, and try and catch me out. He was always
great.
the ladders one was the best one.
Yeah, absolutely. Just out of curiosity, when you won the, obviously, Player of the Month would have been at times sponsored by the whiskey giants. Would you have kept that bottle because of the prestige of winning the Player of the Month, or would you have just done it and then thrown it out?
No, I don't never drink whiskey. I've never have drink whiskey. I think I gave it away to one of the charities at Partick Thistle or something like that.
Yeah.
'Cause whiskey's not a thing. It just when Tam said that there, I do have a story when I got inducted into the SFA Hall of Fame at Hampden with Dougie Donnelly, and he was emceeing it. And when you get your inducted, you know, it's usually somebody that's from your history as a player presents you with it. And I'm in the crowd, obviously, and they say, "We'd like to ask Bertie Auld to come up and present our next inductee." And it was me, obviously. So I come up onto the stage, and Dougie's asking Bertie all about me and things like that. And I think it was after 20 minutes they decided to give me the trophy. And I actually physically said to him, "Hey, you, I've won this, no you. So get it out here." But when he got a mic, we all know when he got a mic, you couldn't get it off him. It was
brilliant.
He told that one yesterday as well. Have you met Tom?
no, I never told that one.
Right.
He's fantastic. He really is.
No, I was glad when you put up though just almost right after he passed away, sadly, when you did put up where I'm sitting in the chair with you, it was just brilliant. It was great. And I'm glad that STV put that in the news at night, you know what I mean? Yeah. Make sure you get your £32 off them or whatever it is. And it was up in the news. Bernard Ponsonby had done a beautiful tribute.
Yeah, I did read
Right for the Heart, right?
Yeah,
and well, he did it on the news at 6 o'clock that night as well. And then he finished with, it was almost like a wee warning for the listeners.
Yeah.
And he said that Bertie as well enjoyed some risque humour. And then they cut into that clip with the three of you sitting and about his best result in Europe. It was great.
Good stuff.
£32. It was invoice them.
I don't know you'll get it. Anyway, apart from anything else, lots of people have paid tribute to Bertie, and we have on this show, and thank you again. Rangers fans, Celtic fans, lots of different people paying tribute to him. We're not too far away from speaking to Andrew Shinnie. We'll hear from him with Aberdeen's game against Dundee United. We're on that Bertie theme, and Callum McGregor was speaking ahead of the semi-final about the players and their thoughts on Bertie Auld.
Bertie was an absolute giant of this club. Everybody that speaks about him speaks of him so highly in terms of, the way he conducted himself, the way he was as a player, and most importantly, I think the way he was as a person. He always got on with everybody. He always had a story to tell. He would always put a smile on your face, and like you said, it's a nice touch for the club to be wearing his number at the weekend, and it will only be fitting if we put in a performance and a result to match, just how much a great Bertie was at this club.
Yeah, nice touch from the Celtic captain Callum McGregor on Bertie Auld, because not only was he such a huge character out there as an ambassador for the club, but the players warmed to him and chatted to him, as they did all the Lisbon Lions. One of them ended up being the kit man, John Clark, walking about with a European Cup medal in his tail as well. Lovely man. But as far as far and wide elsewhere, Jim Goodwin paid a lovely tribute to Bertie Auld.
When I left Celtic at 20, I'd probably only been back to Celtic maybe 15, 20 times through the playing side of things, and obviously being a manager. But you do always kind of bump into him in the corridor, and he had time for everybody. He was he was well renowned for his sense of humour, and he was just a very, very good man. And I think if we all had a little bit of Bertie Auld's character, I think the world would be a far better place. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, what a nice touch from if we all had a bit of a touch of Bertie Auld's character, the world would be a better place. Maybe you should bear that in mind, Ruffy.
No, we've said that about the Lisbon Lions. If you ever get a chance to get into the company, they're the nicest.
We said there wasn't biting. I tried to get him to bite some.
They are the nicest ex-footballers you could be.
Aye. I knew that you've told me about the tribute they're going to have on Saturday, Peter, in the semi-final. I'm going to go in, to the bookies. It's got maybe the youngest, most inexperienced member of staff, and on my slap, £100, Celtic number 10, first goal scorer. I hope I get away with it.
Yeah, there's a right good chance you will, by the way. Anyway, apart from anything else, that's the two semi-finals. Can you see St Johnston and your old mucker Stewart being a happy man at the end of it?
Right, on paper you just think, no, Celtic are going to win that one. Again, I would say that St Johnston in that game need to score first. The other thing I would say though is, I think you might just see St Johnston rise into the occasion, because with the glories that they've got forever now for last season, winning the cup double, they did that without their fans being able to see it. You know, the fans were still locked out, and suddenly, I'm guessing if it's a 52,000 sellout, as we believe, then I'm sure St Johnston would have got maybe 10,000 in that, you know. And given the season that they had last year, then I'm absolutely certain that it'll snap up every last ticket. So they'll be cheered on by a good section of support. But same with Hibs on Sunday, I do think St John's will have to score first. If Celtic get the first goal, I think even if you look at recent games, it gets their tail up undoubtedly, and then they start turning it on a wee bit, you know.
Yeah, no surprise on the evidence of what I've witnessed, Ruffy. I can't see any slip up from this Celtic side at the moment. Even Starfelt won't be there. It's too early for him to come back. Tom Rogic won't be there, but the way they've been playing middle to front, I think that huge Hampden surface that'll suit them.
Yeah, we heard Charlie the other day, middle to front, they're just unplayable sometimes, particularly the front three, and Hampden will suit them down to a T. It's a big park, and sometimes you can go to Hampden, and if you're not used to going there, you can get caught in the headlights or just walking about looking at the place if you've not been there. But St Johnstone have been there, that's a plus for them.
Yeah,
but absolutely. I mean, some of the Celtic boys haven't been there at this occasion, so they really need to, not get caught in the headlights of where they are. But certainly with the form that they're in, I always think getting into a semi-final, into a final, you want to be on form, you want to be buzzing, you want everybody talking about the positive things, and that's what they're doing with Celtic and Rangers.
Yep, okay, that's the two Premier Sports Cup semi-finals. There are actually 3 games on. One of them up there at Tannadice, Dundee United against Aberdeen. Of course, your boys gave Aberdeen a bloody nose.
A bloody nose is the best way to describe it, because I think everybody fancied Aberdeen that day. They'd started to pick up form. We'd been in a rotten run, but that was a huge 3 points for Motherwell.
Yeah, and Andrew Shinnie joins us now. Andrew, you were unfortunately not able to join us last week, and quite a few of the boys, you'll be happy to know, were giving you pelters because we thought you were ducking and diving out of our way on the resurgence of Aberdeen that kind of a crash down. What's the feeling been like in Aberdeen after that Motherwell gubbing?
It wasn't quite a gubbing. We played very well first half but couldn't score, and that was the important thing. Motherwell got their goals at the right time, 2 bad defensive errors from Aberdeen, and held on to win quite comfortably. They seem to be our bogey side this season, but the feeling is that it was a bump in the road rather than the whole show being derailed, and everybody's looking forward now to going down to Tannadice for the first time in a long time, for the fans that is, and enjoying another new firm derby.
Yeah, I love the way you said that. They're the new firm derby. I have to say, I absolutely loved them when they came around when I was a youngster. I loved the quality of players that were on show. In fact, I had one of the players in doing a one-to-one with us. Andrew, it's coming out next week, in Gordon Strachan. He was talking about his career and, of course, playing for Aberdeen. When he was kicking a ball in that game, Andrew, the quality of player was sensational. Not only Strachan, McGee, Miller, McLeish, but on the other side, one of my favourite players was in the Dundee United number 10 more often than not, in Paul Sturrock. What a lineup they used to have. Hegarty and Neary as well.
Eamon Bannon, Billy Kirkwood, Hamish McAlpine in goals. 2 fantastic sides, and 2 all-Scottish sides. 2 of the best Scottish managers vying with each other to see who could out-tactic the other one. They were brilliant days. When you're speaking to Gordon Strachan, ask him how much he remembers about his diving header to score at Tannadice. He didn't score a lot of them.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, by the way. Who needs to score diving headers when you're as good with the ball at your feet? With Gordon Strachan, to be perfectly honest with you. He did actually talk, and I think anyone who's an Aberdeen fan or a neutral and look at him from his Celtic career, his Scotland manager, and of course down at Manchester United and Leeds United, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's well worth listening to as a one-to-one. A couple of points I want to get from you, Andrew. Of course, Motherwell took their chances. They had two good ones at that, and they took them and got the win. How far away is Andrew Considine from a return?
I think we're talking months rather than weeks, Peter, to be perfectly honest. I think he's hoping turn of the year, but from what I'm hearing on the QT, it's going to be closer to Easter time before you see Andrew Considine back in action. But he's a determined character. He will try and get back as quickly as possible. But you've always got to bear in mind, the medical staff will be saying, no, don't push yourself too quickly. The last thing you want is to suffer a recurrence and knock yourself back for another 3 months or whatever. But I think Andrew Considine has been missed. There's no question at all about that. But looking ahead to Saturday, I don't think we're going to see any of the injured Aberdeen players back, judging from what Stephen Glass was saying at his press conference today. So it's going to be a very similar looking side that plays as played against Motherwell a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and just 2 quick points before you go then on the game against Dundee United. You're coming up against a side that have surprised many this season, Andrew.
Absolutely. I watched the first meeting of the two sides at Pittodrie back in August, and I was not impressed at all with United. They were very passive. They never got themselves into the game, and I was very surprised to see them go on to having a really good run. A lot of 1-0s, so they were very good defensively. They weren't, blowing sides away, but they were winning games. That's the important thing. But just recently, this seemed to have fallen off a wee bit. They lost at St Johnston. They were beaten heavily at Tynecastle. It's going to be an interesting one, this one, on Saturday, because you looked at last season, there was 1 goal scored in 3 league meetings of the sides. There was a couple of goals scored in the first meeting this season by Aberdeen. But I have a feeling that there could be goals in this one. And I'm looking forward to what should be a decent game of football, because from what I've seen of United, they play a very good brand of football. And when Aberdeen strike form, they're good to watch as well. So I'm hoping it's 2 form sides and an entertaining match for what should be a sellout crowd at Tannadice.
Oh, that's good news. That's great news. That's why we want teams like Dundee United back in the top flight, taking on Aberdeen, a sellout. And the last point, your greatest ever manager is back up in the northeast today. And of course, one of your greatest ever sons, and I'm talking, of course, about the great Denis Law. What a great image today. Fergie, Denis Law, unveiling the statue in the Granite City. That was magnificent.
Terrific, isn't it? I mean, it's high time that there was a statue out in the open of Denis Law. Hey, speaking of Fergie, why is there no statue to Sir Alex Ferguson in Aberdeen for what he achieved and the work that he did to put the city of Aberdeen on the map? That will be rectified by the club. Should have been done 30 years ago, to be perfectly honest. But it was brilliant to see the lawman there with Fergie, with Craig Brown there as well. And, as you say, a favourite son of the city, despite the fact that he never played for Aberdeen. He only ever played once at Pittodrie, and that was a friendly for Manchester City. But his late brother Joe used to stay just along the road from me, and if ever there was someone that was proud in his brother, it was Joe, being proud of Denis, because what a player he was. An old pal of mine, John Fitzpatrick, sadly now no longer with us, couldn't talk highly enough of the lawman. He said, just a magnificent man, magnificent player.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Andrew. With regards to Fergie, I can't believe there isn't a statue of Fergie up in Aberdeen, as well, as Andrew's pointed out.
That's a strange one, now you mention it. Aye. I mean, there's been a lot of chat about that recently. I mean, I know you're going to mention it later, but as a surprise announcement at the Motherwell Hall of Fame the other night, the vice chairman came up and announced that the South Stand at Motherwell has been named in honour of Tommy McLean. Tommy's not keeping the best of health now, but clearly a club legend after winning the cup for us in '91. And there's been a lot of talk. I would hope that Celtic would do something similar for Bertie Auld, you know, and then we'll see what Rangers have got up their sleeve with Walter Smith. So there's been a lot of that chat in there, but that does amaze me. What have they got for Sir Alex then? At Pittodrie, have they got anything?
Well, that is a good question.
There's no stand. You're saying there's no statue.
No. Andrew, do they have anything at the moment?
There is a Sir Alec Ferguson lounge, and that is it. You know, none of the stands at Pittodrie are named after anyone, bar the Dick Donald stand after the late chairman. But, you know, to only have a lounge named after you is dereliction of duty, as far as I'm concerned. He was the club's greatest manager, the city's greatest ambassador. Why, oh, why is there not something there tangible for people to go and see?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Andrew. I mean, it's always great to hear from you, but that point that you leave us with is absolutely something. I mean, I'd have built the statue in 1987, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, you'd have thought the ideal opportunity they would be at the new training ground. You know, even a statue there.
Calm your jets. The chairman's named it after himself.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure there's always room for two, but he's right. The statue seems to be the way ahead. He opened a can of worms the other day. They're saying that all the Lisbon Lions statues should be all the way up the walkway to.
I agree.
I think that's
that is the case, Robbie. Because
so is it still only?
It's Billy McNeil at the front,
right?
And as you go up the Celtic walkway, Jimmy Johnston's the greatest ever player.
Right.
Is next to Brother Walford and Jock Steenie's statues.
Right,
but that walkway should be the 11 of them. Just the way they walked out at Lisbon.
Yeah.
You should have the entire... Because, let's be honest about it, Tam, unless Celtic and Rangers get out of this league and get access to the kind of millions that are on show in England, they'll never win the European Cup.
You know, but I'm astonished still there with Alec Ferguson. I mean, even looking at Dundee United, Aberdeen, Dundee United named their stand after Alan Main.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
That's just to check you're on your toes.
No, I like that one. But
I've seen a lot of folk just stare back at me when you crack that one.
No, I'm happy with that one. Although I can see you going, I thought he's going to mention the Jim McLean statue, but no, there's the gag. I'm happy with it. It's all about timing, Ruffy.
Yes,
you know,
I'm glad I didn't jump in, but he never played there.
Well, sometimes he gives us a run into the gag, but that was straight in there. Anyway, great to hear from Andrew Shinnie, who always gives us an insight into how the Dons are playing, and of course, that mention of Fergie there, I think there's got to be a statue to the great man. Certainly, I hope it looks like him, because that's the worst thing about it.
Sort of a throne something.
Well, if you get the hairdryer, you just get him standing there with a hairdryer. But
what was best about that, I thought, because I saw a couple of photos of the ceremony myself before we came in here, and just to see Dennis doing his one-handed salute as he's looking up at the statue, it was brilliant.
Absolutely.
There'd been a few tears shed in Aberdeen today, I'm sure.
There are three players, Tam, that stick in my mind who had that similar celebration. One was Dennis Law. There was another one who played for Leeds.
And he used to sleeve.
With the sleeve as well.
Who was that?
Clark.
Alan Clark, sniffer.
Alan Clark.
And the other one was, of course, Shearer. Shearer would just go away with his arm in the air. But Dennis was the best of them all, and rightly so. Andrew points that out. So many people in the north, although he didn't play for Aberdeen, still hold him in high regard. So Motherwell against Hearts, you did touch on it, Tam. We might as well get your thoughts on it. Was it great, the Hall of Fame? Was it emotional for you?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it's a
busman's holiday.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I could never have played football, Peter, so I can assure you that is always the second best thing. When you're able to do the Motherwell dues, it's an honour and a privilege, and for me to stand up there and effectively induct Joe Wark into the Motherwell Hall of Fame, as we did the first one, 2019, Willie Pettigrew. Then in Saturday night there, getting boys up on stage like Stephen Craigan, Stevie Hamill, incredible, and just Stevie and bits.
Were they in, both of them inducted?
Yeah, both of them.
Craigan?
Both of them. Well, we covered 2020 because there was an online Hall of Fame, but just more or less mentioned who was being inducted. There certainly wasn't an event, so we wanted them to get the rapturous applause and ovation that they deserved. So it was like a double header, if you like, on Saturday night there. So there was 10 inducted altogether, including Davy Cooper as well. He's good pal and former teammate, of course, at Rangers and Motherwell, Ian Ferguson, who scored their first goal in that 91 final. He came up and accepted it for Davy, and a beautiful, beautiful speech. Just great warmth in the room, you know. All the Motherwell fans absolutely loved it. Lighter moments as well, because dear old Joe Wark, of course, who passed away in 2015. His son came up to pick up the award posthumously, of course. And later on in the night, we were doing the raffle, and one of the prizes, it was a cracker. I thought we pulled the boy's name out of the hat, and it was you get a live, you get a video message sent to you from your favourite player. And the guy that won it was delighted, and I shouted to her, "Who's your favourite player?" And he said, "Joe Walk." and I think that might be tricky. That might be tricky, you know. But no, it was a smashing night, and as I say, the cherry on the cake for me was when Douglas Dickey came up and announced, and it was a surprise for the Motherwell fans. I'd heard about it the week before and sworn to secrecy and all this, but to name that South stand after Tommy is magnificent, you know, and he's not keeping the best of health in it.
And it's amazing sometimes, and I don't want to be too critical, but I might as well tell you, sometimes previous boards, don't realise the value of somebody who's achieved something like that.
Absolutely.
And I know a couple of things that just annoyed the life out of me about the fact that Tommy was the manager and should have been acknowledged for that achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. But the great thing is at Motherwell, Peter, and you'll respect what I'm saying here, is that it is genuine fans who are on the Motherwell board.
Yes.
They're diehards. They're all guys that have had season tickets for 30, 40, 50 years, you know. So the proper heroes at the club are never ever going to be overlooked.
Yeah, good point, actually.
Sometimes you can wait years and years to get into a Hall of Fame. There's people deciding, you know.
Yeah, exactly. When Ari ran in Peru, haven't they?
Yeah, I've had 4 Hall of Fames.
Yeah,
Are you?
I know you are. Oh, he's getting
Good question.
Hey.
I bet you couldn't answer get the 4th.
Right, wait a minute. Right, okay. So you're in the Hall of Fame for Scotland.
Yes.
You're in the Hall of Fame for Partick Thistle.
Yes.
You're in the Hall of Fame for Hibs.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wow. And you're in the Hall of Fame for Tankery. They put you in the Hall of Fame.
Near it, Glenafton.
Good shout.
Are you in the Hall
Aye.
of Fame?
Yes, I'm in Glenafton Hall of Fame for
Right.
the Scottish Cup.
Oh, there you are then. I didn't know. I would not have got Glenafton, and it's really something that we should
It's not
acknowledge.
really a Hall of Fame, it's like a lobby with a kind of rubbish carpet. It smells a wee bit.
And a light without
There's a gig coming up soon down there, so watch what you're saying.
No, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
it was one of my mates, Stuart Gregg, that did your mind the great wee documentary.
Oh,
Do you remember Stuart who filmed it?
Yes,
all?
I remember it.
Aye, he's a good pal of mine.
Yeah.
Should show that again in the telly. But see, when you go, I'll get the BBC to get that out on BBC One.
The highlight was in the bus after we were coming away from Ibrox when we got beat. Aye, and I missed that enough. When we were going away, and he interviewed the chairman of the club, who said, "You must be gutted at losing today," and he went, "No," I said, "just means we don't have to pay out a bonus."
Gosh, dearie me.
Yeah, that's a downer. Listen, just out of curiosity, I'm not sure if you're this type of person or not. I don't know. You'll be able to tell us. I think you might be.
You're not going to ask me to go to the pictures tonight, are you? Right.
Did you get a few photographs?
Oh, aye, brilliant. You know, well, Gio was the official photographer who was on hand, because it wouldn't have been very professional, so shall we say, Peter and me, to be standing there and whipping out my phone for a selfie when whoever was up on the stage, you know. But I've had quite a few of them sent to me. I've already stuck quite a lot of them on my Instagram for him that does Instagram. I'm at the real Tam Cowan, and I'll bring back some memories. And even, you know what I mean, see the emotion. I mean, Bobby Ferrier, a great old name, old school Motherwell, his 2 grandsons came up with, the grandsons were a right good age, you know, and they came up on stage, and these guys were getting choked up, you know, and everywhere you looked about, it was just magnificent. You can't beat nights like that, and I think, you know, these guys, you should treasure them, and it's been a very emotional time, as I say, recently in Scottish football, what with Walter Smith and then with Bertie Auld and that, and you know, and treasure these guys, because that era of footballer, as we all know, can be very, very different for your modern day player.
Yeah, absolutely. Will you get some of them framed up in the wall?
Well, see, you know what, Peter, I know you love all that kind of stuff. I never ever do that.
No?
I've had all sorts of really decent Motherwell memorabilia that I've been given as thank yous or whatever. You go and do, you're not taking any money and say, "Oh, would you like to have this or something," you know?
Yeah.
And they end up going to my pals or whatever. I never really.
So you haven't retained a lot of that
No,
stuff?
I haven't, and including, I think I got, you'll give me a smack in the face for this. When we went to Valencia to see Motherwell playing Levante, remember when we played them?
Yeah.
Stuart McCall era, or Craig, but I think it was Stuart McCall. Big Michael Higdon, I mind, been there, and he called me the C word, actually.
Yeah.
Michael Higdon. We were at the hotel on the day of the game, and it was baking hot outside in Valencia, a beautiful city, and I just got this beautifully poured pint of lager, right? And they were all playing that same night, and I just turned around to Michael and says, look at that, I bet you wish you could have one of them. And he said it very well in a Scouse accent, it was great. But no, when we were out at Levante, the boys that I was chumming about with in that trip were a couple of guys that were on the board, pals of mine, Andrew Wilson and Derek Weir. So I stayed with them during the game. So somebody at the Levante Football Club must have thought I was a dignitary myself, you know. And they gave me this beautiful scale model of their stadium. Wow. And of course that's where Motherwell had played a European game. It was beautiful, and I gave it away. You know, I know. I gave it to? Well, who'd I give? I originally gave it away to the club, and it turns out the club, because they did a few of them, they gave it back, and then I just gave it to one of my mates.
Wow. And you know the downside of that, Ruffy? He'll be sitting there on a Sunday, it'll be about 5:45, and he'll be scouting through the channels, and all he will see is Fiona Bruce just holding this is a rare Levante stadium.
Show, there was only 5 of them made.
I know, you'll be raging. Anyway, and thanks to a lot of people suggesting that Ruffy is actually in another Hall of Fame, the Playboy Hall of Fame from the 80s. Yeah, you're not wrong there, that's fantastic. Lots of people talking about it, but well done. Thanks for Patia for mentioning that part there. Just one other game that's taking place over the weekend, St Mirren against Livingston as well, and that takes place in Paisley. We'll be discussing those 3 games in the Scottish Premiership in greater detail tomorrow. You never know, we might get a chance to discuss the Rangers manager arriving, we might not. As far as the outgoing Rangers manager, he's at Aston Villa now. Steven Gerrard's been talking today to the assembled members of the press. The immediate thing that came out of Steven Gerrard's press conference today at Aston Villa is it was a difficult decision to leave Rangers. I certainly left with a heavy heart. I built up a fantastic relationship at Rangers. It's a club I have immense respect for. I was given a remit 3.5 years ago up at Rangers, and we went on a journey. We completed that remit. 10 days ago, the opportunity came up to join another iconic club. It was an opportunity that I couldn't let pass me by. Well, despite the fact that some Rangers fans will feel slightly aggrieved that he's gone, I think we've got to cut him some slack here, Ruffy. You know, I think Rangers fans will look back and say he did indeed complete the remit. Stop Celtic winning 10 in a row.
Yeah, and obviously make them a better team than what they were. You know, when he went in there, they were just a shadow of any of the Rangers teams. But year on year, he brought a better quality to the club. He brought, you know, some big stars, some big names, and the run they went on, obviously, the season when they went through, and the 10 in a row one just caps it. You know, if you're going to leave, that's when you're going to leave. To stop that is just what every Rangers supporter wanted, and he did it. And Europe as well, to a certain extent, was a big success. So, no, I can see why supporters are unhappy when he leaves, you know, because it's a semi-final and they're still in Europe and blah, blah, blah. But sometimes managers have got to make decisions, and he makes it.
I think it was just the speed that maybe upset the Rangers fans.
Because
I don't think it should bother them
because
because
Rangers get a little bit precious about there's no way the manager should be leaving a club of this stature. Brendan Rodgers was off as quicker than you could say Leicester City.
I mean, Rangers, there's no doubt, I would say globally that Rangers are a bigger club in that sense than Aston Villa, but when you look at just the finance that's available to him now, the league that he's playing in. But, you know, I would forget all that stuff. The other quote that I heard Steven Gerrard coming out with was about he's back down with his family. Yeah. You know, with his wife and the young kids. You know, that's got to play a part in any man's life, you know. And as for MD would say he left Rangers in the lurch, you know, because there's a semi-final coming up and a big European game, I would say, no, he's left them in a great position because there's a semi-final coming up and there's a big European game. And if Giovanni Van Bronckhorst gets off to a flyer there, I'm sure he'll be thanking Steven Gerrard for the position that he left the club in. Yeah,
I think I was slightly surprised at the choice of Villa, and then I realised, you know, listen, they're apparently the 5th wealthiest in the English Premier League, and sometimes when you look at what you've achieved and then the train hits the station, Ruffy, I'm not surprised that he decided to jump and get Villa as the next stepping stone in this grand plan to get back to Liverpool. Sometimes By the way, he can do no wrong down south for the majority of people. They think he's a god. You know, Liverpool fans especially, some pundits, some former players wax lyrical about him. This is the big test for me, what he does at Villa.
Well, it definitely is. You know, he's been thrown in there, you know, and it doesn't matter how good a footballer you are when you go to a club. The Villa supporters will want wins, they'll want to climb up that league. He's also touched that they want him back in Europe. They're European winners, you know, so why wouldn't the supporters? And it is a man. I was talking to Alec McLeish about them and they said they're mega, you know, compared to where we are here. You know, it's just where he can take them to is something as a manager you want to test yourself against the best teams, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's good the Villa fans get a chance to see what he looks like for the next press conference when he's not there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jurgen Klopp's moving on.
Well, I'll tell you, they're about to get...
You know what, if you're looking though, everybody kept using the phrase a stepping stone. If you thought of him going to a club, it was a stepping stone to Liverpool. I think Aston Villa pretty much fits the bill. And who knows, if he keeps them up first and foremost this season, you know, maybe next year made a wee bit of inroads in the league, maybe a decent cup run, and you know, Jurgen Klopp isn't going to be at Liverpool forever, then you would need to think, it's a natural place for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't disagree with you on that, for certain. Okay, thanks to so many people who have given us their thoughts. I did mention there, and look out for it, next week we will have a one-to-one. And in fact, it's just come in. The news has just come in that Giovanni van Bronckhorst has been confirmed as the Rangers manager. So suddenly, Ruffy, the Rangers fans, breaking news that the Rangers fans can now, you know, celebrate there's a man in. He's a former Rangers player. He knows the club. And of course, the brand of football that he guided Feyenoord to the title after an 18-year wait, I think will certainly fill a lot of Rangers fans with confidence. You know, get him in the door and then start asking the questions about will he get money to strengthen in his own way in January.
Yeah, I'm sure the Rangers supporters will be, the old saying, over the moon by that. You know, that to get him in, you know, before the semi-final, obviously he's got to win the semi-final, but it's not on him. You know, he's just come in. But if you're a Rangers fan, you've got a manager now, and we're talking about because they've not got a manager, all that. But now that goes out the window. Now they have got a manager.
Well, you know what, Ruffy, for the Rangers fans watching this, and Peter breaking the news to them watching this, suddenly Steven Gerrard seems like ancient history.
Yeah.
They'll just think, no, great, that's us. We've got Van Bronckhorst in. Right, what's he going to do? What's he going to do on Sunday against Hibs? And that's it, you know, so big news.
Well, here's
perfect timing.
Yeah, absolutely, because here is the quote from Giovanni van Bronckhorst. I am absolutely delighted to be returning to Rangers as the club's new manager. I feel so lucky to be going to work with a squad which is in a great position on all fronts and largely has that experience of being winners. I look forward to carrying on and enhancing the work that has been done already alongside Ross Wilson and the board of the club, and I'm grateful for the chance to work again at this huge football club. I cannot wait to meet the club's incredible supporters again and begin this new era for us all. Well, tremendous excitement.
What? He didn't mention 55.
No, that'll come, by the way. It takes a couple of weeks for them to
you know what, if you're a Rangers fan listening to comments like that for a player that they adored who's now their manager, you'd be buzzing. Be buzzing.
Well, I don't know about you, Ruffy. I thought he was a great player when he played there.
Well, look at the teams he went to.
Yeah.
You know, Arsenal at their height.
Yep.
You know, Barcelona, you know, part of the Holland set-up, part of the Feyenoord team, winning a league, you know, it's a tremendous appointment.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know there was a lot of names out there, but none of them came in anywhere near what he'd done.
And in the same way, Peter, there was a notion that, of course, Stevie Gerrard had plenty of great contacts and folk that could come to the club perhaps just with his reputation. Van Bronckhorst as well. You know, you'd like to see some of the names in his phone, you know.
Yeah, I actually think, you know, and I can understand, I think this is not only a great appointment for Rangers, but I think Rangers fans will look and think, well, listen, there could be a brand of football here that we're going to really enjoy as
absolutely.
well. I mean, Steven Gerrard, I thought, brought Rangers a real credibility and organisational skill playing European football.
Yep.
You know, Giovanni van Bronckhorst, you know, when I think of him as a player and I think of the teams that he played in and the ethos of the teams that he played for, you know, they've every right to be excited.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be intriguing. As I say, I think it is a a kick in the groin for Hibs, perhaps, because you're thinking, no, Rangers are going to be absolutely buzzing now on Sunday.
Yeah.
But you never know. You've got a new manager going in, he'll have his own thoughts, his own ideas. Who knows, could that unsettle the Rangers players who are used to the way they've been playing all season? And does that give Hibs a chance? But either way, it just makes it all the more intriguing. It's a big booking. Anybody that knows anything about Scottish football over the past couple of decades, remember that guy. They know what a great player he was, and you can only look forward to this. Bring it on.
Yeah, the one really good thing that Tam's just touched on there is the fact that yet again, with our league, with what Steve Clarke's doing with the Scotland squad, and we're 2 games away from hopefully getting to the World Cup. You've got Ange Postecoglou playing a good brand of football, and you've got a high-profile manager coming in Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. Yet again, Ruffy, we do want a focus on our game. We do want to be able to project an image that it's not this wee Diddy league that so many people make it out to be. I mean, okay, there's 2 very strong sides in it, but I think there's a lot of good football played with the other clubs out with the big 2.
No, I think you've hit a wee bit of it there. It's a new era for Rangers there, and we saw what happened at Celtic. Their new manager started bringing in players that we'd never heard of from different countries. He might be the same. He's been over in Japan. Is it Japan?
China.
He's been in Holland. You might see him drafting in. I mean, Steven Gerrard, majority brought people up for England. Van Bronckhorst might be different. He might bring people for Holland, players for Holland, and teams that he's been at. So it's a different era, and maybe different players that Rangers fans will see.
Yeah, and with that in mind, I think it'll give Rangers a huge lift for their game against Hibernian. To be perfectly honest with you, and again, when you look at it, if you have a situation where Celtic and Rangers were to make that final, suddenly December becomes, not only a month where there's a final. In Scotland, but also it's only a month later they'll lock horns at Celtic Park. So
I know, it's incredible. It keeps the whole thing buzzing. So you're tipping, you think both Celtic and Rangers in, aye?
I can't see anybody stopping.
What about score lines?
Well, I can see Celtic winning by a clear couple.
All right.
I can see Rangers edging it by 2-1. You?
I'm going to stick with St Johnston. I think, they're no mugs. They didn't win the trophies undeservedly. I'm going for a shock in the game tomorrow. I think St Johnston are going to sneak it 1-0. And on Sunday, I think Rangers will win 2-0.
Yeah, so St Johnston for you in the
St Johnston against Rangers in the final for me.
Yeah.
No, I can't see by the Celtic forward line. They'll score goals. They've scored goals at most of the games this year. So
Did they score against Lovely?
Couple.
Get into him, Tom. Yeah, absolutely.
That was just an off day.
See, he's got his emotional Hall of Fame head on now, and he's just throwing grenades.
82% of the game and 45 shots.
But you know what? There's a game that is football fans talking, because the Lovey fans, that small pocket of Lovey fans who were at Parkhead who would have left that day, joyous. Doing cartwheels all the way down Kerrydale Street because they got a point off Celtic on their own patch. But if Celtic had converted the late penalty, and then you're a Livy fan, you'd have been absolutely sick, saying, what did we pay £26 to watch that guff for? We never laid a glove on them, never had a shot at goal, but football fans are fickle.
Yeah, absolutely. Thoroughly enjoyed the chat today. I hope you did too. A wee bit of chat, banter, opinion, and at the end of it, we've been reading out some of your messages. Thank you to the, lots and lots of people who are following the show and subscribing. Hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel if you get a chance. Hit the bell and you'll get those notifications of when we are live and all the unique content. Next week, we'll have a one-to-one on the channel with Gordon Strachan, looking back over his career. Really enjoying this series, which is starting now and gathering a bit of pace, with Strachan talking about his days at Aberdeen, then Manchester United, and of course winning the title with Leeds United. And then he goes on to talk about management, which took him to Southampton, Coventry, as well as Scotland manager, and his time at Celtic. So it's well worth a listen. There's a few laughs and a few moments when he talks about his relationship with Sir Alex Ferguson as well. So that's the one-to-one. Look out for that next week. But thanks to Tam Cowan, Alan Ruff, and from myself, Peter Martin, don't forget to join us tomorrow on the programme. It is Friday. It'll be Tam McManus, Charlie Adam, Ruffy, and myself from 4 o'clock live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.